everyone, welcome back to our channel that is Chemical Engineering. Myself Dr. Kirti Zare. Today I am going to introduce about the parabolic form of the equation which is generally useful for the finite form of the differential equations. Here there are the different type of the methods is going to used for calculating the parabolic form of the equations. So generally the first one, it is the Schmidt form of the equation, that is also called as the explicit form of the equations or the method, and the second one, it is the Crank-Nicolson's method. In today's class, I am going to explaining about the Schmidt method, and in my next video I will be uploading about the Crank-Nicolson's method. Now let us start for this particularly problem. So they are mentioned this finite form of the equation. So generally here we are supposed to consider the a also. Now here a value become the 1, right? Now they are giving the x is equal to the 0, right? And up to the they are giving the last limit, that is x is equal to the 0.5 u, and u they are giving the u value become the 1. Again, they have mentioned the u as a function of the 2x plus 1, and they are giving the x value from this particularly ranges, and they are mentioned the increment factor for the x, that is nothing but the 0.1 over here, and t increment factor become the 0.01. So you are supposed to find out the all values related with the u up to the t, which is lies between the 0 to the 0.03 with the increment of the 0.01, right? One table which is situated as x, which is starting with the 0 up to the 0.5 with the increment of the 0.1, and the t which is in the form of the k as an increment, and this value is given the 0.01. So it is starting from the 0, 0.1, 0.2 and the 0.3, right? Now we are supposed to calculate this all values through the Schmidt equations, right? So in the Schmidt equation, firstly you are supposed to consider this all initial value is equal to the 1, right? Now let us start for the solution, that u is equal to 2x plus the 1, right? U is equal to the 2x plus the 1. So initially value of the 1, that become the 0.1 plus 1, right? So if you are going to calculate this value, so you are getting this value become the 1.2, right? For the second, for this, so this value become the 1.2, it become the 1.2, right? Now we are supposed to calculate the next value, again 2x plus 1, right? So which is given as 2 multiplied by the 0.2 plus 1. So this u value become the 1.4. So you can just write here, that become the 1.4. Now third value you are supposed to calculate u, that is equal to 2x plus 1, because in the numerical statement they have mentioned that become the 2x plus 1, right? So do multiply by the 0.3 plus 1. So you are getting the mu by is equal to the 1.6, right? So you write here that become the 1.6. Now for the next value mu, that is become the 2x plus 1. So 2 multiply by the 0.4 plus 1. So mu become the 1.8, right? So you can just write here 1.8, right? So these are the all initially values that you must be know. Now next value we are supposed to calculate, that is the gamma, right? Which can be calculated as the kc square by the h square. So k is nothing but the increment which is related with the t. So they are given, that is 0.01 multiplied by the c. You are supposed to consider the c here, that is the 1. Generally you are supposed to consider the c value become the 1, right, as a constant, and h square, so h they are given, that is the 0.1 square, right? It is the increment of the h with respect to the x, right? If you're going to solving this, so you're getting the gamma value become the 1, right? Gamma value become the 1. Now initially you are already calculate the all values, but now you are moved towards the calculations of our supposed to calculate the u1, mu2, mu3, mu4, mu5, mu6, mu7, mu8, mu9, mu10, mu11 and mu12. The calculation of the u1, right, that you are supposed to calculate this, so you are denoted as the L. Here your answer as the u1 and here that is the right side, right? Through the Schmidt equation you are supposed to calculate it. So the u1 which can be calculated as L multiplied by the gamma value which you are already find out, that become the 1, right? Plus 1 minus 2 gamma multiplied by the middle values plus gamma multiplied by the right hand side value, right? Now how can you calculate it, right? Now u1 is going to lies over here, so you are considered the bottom value of this, means this one is the middle value, this one is the left value and this one is the right value of that, right? So let us start for the calculation. That is the right hand side value of the right hand side value become the 1 plus gamma is again 1 plus into bracket 1 minus 2 multiplied by gamma is the 1 plus its the middle value. So this value become the 1.2 plus 1 multiplied by the its right hand value. So that become the 1.4. So if you are going to calculate, so you are getting this value become the 1.2. So u1 become the 1.2, right? So you can just quickly note this value, that become the 1.2, right? For the mu2, right? So it is again become the left hand side, here right hand side value, right? So 1.4 value, so that value 1.2, right? So left hand side value become the 1.2, middle value you can consider as the 1.4 and the right hand side is the 1.6, right? So you can quickly calculate the u2, that is equal to the L, means this value 1.2 multiplied by the gamma, so that become the 1 into bracket 1 minus 2 multiplied by the again gamma multiplied by this value middle one, that is 1.4 plus again 1 multiplied by 1.6. If you are calculating the u2, so you are getting the value become the 1.4, right? So you can note down this value become the 1.4, right? Now in the same manner you are supposed to calculate for the mu3, right? How can you calculate the mu3? That is the same way. Again you are supposed to think about the left. Now this is the mu3, so middle value become the, you can consider that is the 1.6, right? Left hand side become the 1.4 and right hand side become the 1.8, right? So you can just quickly calculate, that is the u3, that become the again right left hand side value become the 1.4 multiplied by the 1 plus 1 minus 2 multiplied by the gamma, that is again 1 into bracket 1.6 plus again gamma value become the 1 multiplied by the right hand side value become the 1.8. If you are going to calculate this all value, so you are getting this value become the 1.6, right? So you can just note here, that become the 1.6, right? Same manner we are supposed to calculate for here u4, right? So let us again, you are supposed to consider the mu4 and middle value of the mu4 become the 1.8. Again left hand side value become the 1.6 and the right hand side value become the 1, right? So u4, that is nothing but again 1.6 multiplied by the 1 plus 1 minus 2 multiplied by the 1 multiplied by the 1.8 plus 1 multiplied by the 1. If you are going to calculate this, so you are getting the value become the 0.8. So this value become the 0.8. Right? Similarly way, now while you are going to calculating the U5, so this become the middle values and this become the left hand value, this become the right hand value, right? So similarly way, you have to just calculate for the U5. So that is again is equal to the, you are supposed to calculate the U5. So what should be the middle value of the U5? So middle value become the 1.2. Here is the 1 and the right hand side value become the 1.4. Right? So U5 that is equal to 1 multiplied by the 1 plus 1 minus 2 multiplied by the 1 multiplied by the 1.2 plus 1.4 multiplied by the 1. So U5 value become the again 1.2. Right? Now let us calculate for the U6. Right? U6 value. So it become the, you have to make again this table. Right? So U6. So U6 middle value become the 1.4. Left hand become the 1.2 and right become the 1.6. Right? So U6 become the 1.2 multiplied by the 1 plus 1 minus 2 multiplied by the 1 multiplied by the 1.4 plus 1.6 multiplied by the 1. Right? If you are going to calculate this, so you are getting the value become the 1.4. So U6 value become the 1.4. U7, right? So it become again U7 means this row. So U7 middle value become the 1.6, right? Left hand become the 1.4 and right hand become the 0.8, right? So U7 you can calculate it as 1.4 multiplied by the 1 plus 1 minus 2 multiplied by the 1 multiplied by the 1.6 plus 0.8 multiplied by the 1, right? So U7 that become the 0.6. Now again calculate the U8, right? So U8 value that become the middle value become the 0.8, right? Left hand value become the 1.6 and right hand value become the 1, right? So it becomes mu8 that is equal to 1 multiplied by 1.6 plus 1 minus 2 multiplied by the 1 multiplied by the 0.1 plus 1 multiplied by the 1 to become the 1.8, right? So you can quickly write here that become the 1.8, right? So we are also completed this U5 to the U8. Now we are supposed to calculate the U9 value, right? So how can you calculate the U9? Again the same phenomena you are supposed to use. So what should be the middle value of this? That is the 1.2. Again 1 multiplied by the 1.4 means that is the right hand side, right? So how can you calculate the U9? So it become the 1 multiplied by 1 plus 1 minus 2 into 1 multiplied by 1.2 plus 1.4 multiplied by the 1. So you again 1.2, 1.10. So you are supposed to calculate the U10. So that value become the U10 means this row means middle value become the 1.4, left hand side become the 1.2 and the right hand side become the 0.6. So you can calculate the U10 that become the 1.2 multiplied by the 1 plus 1 minus 2 multiplied by the 1 multiplied by 1.4 plus 0.6 multiplied by the 1. So this value become the 0.4, right? U10 become the 0.4. So you can write here that become the 0.4. 11. So again same manner, what should be the respective middle values of this U10 that become the 0.6, 1.4 and the 1.8. So you can calculate this U11 that is equal to the 1.4 multiplied by the 1 plus 0.6 into 1 minus 2 multiply by the 1 plus 1.8 multiply by the 1. So this value become the 2.6. So U11 become the 2.6. From the 2.6. Right? Similarly way you are supposed to calculate for the U12. Right? So which can be calculated as again you have to make the chart for that become 1.8, 0.6 and here that is equal to the 1, right? So mu12 that is equal to 0.6 multiplied by the 1 plus 1.8 multiplied by the 1 minus 2 multiplied by the 1 plus 1 multiplied by the 1. So this value become the minus 0.2 U12. So you can just write here this value become the minus 0.2. Firstly, you calculate the gamma. Based upon that, you are supposed to use the simple equations for the calculation of the mu. If you understand this particularly numericals, so please subscribe my channel, share this video, and you can also write the any comments if you want the different type of the finite form of the equation. In my next video, I will be uploading the same form of the equation but which is into the Crank-Nicolson method. Thank you so much for the watching.